Yo, what's going on, guys? Chris Bonner here, Overtime Athletes. So moving along with the coaching series to kind of give you guys a way that I coach basic movements, gym exercises, and how I apply them and what I'm looking for as a coach when it comes to performance. Today, what we're gonna go over is one of my favorite hinge patterns, which is gonna be the RDL, or Romanian Deadlift, right? It's an amazing movement when building posterior chain. I actually like it more than a conventional deadlift. Yes, you can't load it as much as, say, a conventional deadlift, but you're strictly working a little bit more exclusivity on that hinge pattern, right? So we're not working as much across the knee as far as a moment arm, but we're working more across the hip in specifically. So to go over the actual movement, what I'm gonna have Jake do, a lot of times if I have a young athlete who has a problem with rounding back or something of that nature, I'll take a more top-down approach, meaning I want them to start with the lighter load and start from the top and actually work their way down as opposed to right off the ground. But for the sake of teaching this, I'll go ahead and have Jake go ahead and approach the bar. What I want to do as far as stance goes is I actually like to teach the athlete to be able to have the toes forward and the feet lined up right underneath the hips. Okay, so I don't want you too wide. Common mistake is guys get too wide. Even shoulder width, I don't want you there. I want you directly underneath your hips with your toes forward. From here, what I want you to do is go ahead and grab the bar right outside shoulder width, hand over hand. Yep, perfect. Good. From this position, go ahead from the top up, go ahead and stand straight up. Now, to teach you how I teach an athlete who's never done this before, again, I'm gonna start from the top down approach. So from this position right here, as I said, the stance, toes forward, feet right underneath your hips, go ahead and pull your shoulder blades back, big chest, drawing the shoulders back down. From here, what I wanna do is I wanna get a slight bend in the knees, Now, from this position right here, what I wanna see is instead of tipping over and leaning over and placing more of the emphasis and load on the lower back, what I'm gonna instruct Jake to do is draw his glutes and hamstrings, push your ass backwards and tip forward. Keep the chin tucked, chin tucked, chin tucked, chin tucked, chin tucked. Come back up, boom, just there. Now, what I want you to do on this next rep, instead of bending at the knee, I want you to keep the knee slightly bent but locked in that position. And then I want you to reach the glute and hamstrings back and go to where you can feel on that range for yourself. So tip over, don't bend the knee, don't bend the knee, don't bend the knee, come back up. So you bent the knee a little bit more. What I want you to do is bend the knee slightly, right there. Now drive the hips back, tip, tip, don't bend the knee anymore, don't bend the knee anymore. Come, boom, right there, come back up. The moment he starts to bend the knee, that's when he takes the emphasis a little bit more off the hamstrings. He's starting to use a little bit more across that knee extension and knee flexion, and that's what I'm trying to eliminate when I'm teaching the RDL. Now, this is a great movement, obviously, like I said, for posterior chain. You're still stimulating the erector spine, right? You're still stimulating the glutes at a high rate, and the activation of the hamstrings and the upper hamstrings is much greater, which I'm trying to achieve when I'm applying this motion to athletes. So I'm just kind of going on a rant, and I want to teach a couple cues that I would be able to, what I see with my other athletes. So I hope that helps. It's the RDL, and that's the way that I particularly teach it. Now, real quick, as it comes to rep sets, let me go over that real quick. One thing that I absolutely love to do, if it's a supplemental movement and I'm going more for auxiliary type, in the beginning of off season, you'll see your reps anywhere from 8 to 12, so we can really build up that posterior chain. 3 to 4 sets usually will suffice. If it's more of a supplement or we're focusing more on strength, I'll lower that repetition from anywhere from 4 to 6, and we'll increase the intensity or the load. And you'll see anywhere from 4 to 6 sets of that. But it just depends on what level of the off season we're working in and what we're trying to accomplish with the movement. But again, one of my favorite movements as far as posterior chain strength. Check it out, utilize it in your program. I'll talk to you guys next time.